Here's our first lecture here on Critical Review 1, Operations with Real Numbers. This will be kind of quick, you guys. This is just basic addition and subtraction stuff, so we'll kind of get through this real quick. But if you're modeling 4 plus 3, right, if you have a number line and you're modeling 4, and then you go plus 3, where do you end up? Well, you obviously end up at 7, right? You go up 3, 4 plus 3. Now, positive times a negative, I'm going to simplify this. This is negative 4. Positive times a negative is a negative, minus 3. So we're at negative 4 this time. And now I'm subtracting 3. All right, so I end up at negative 7. If I'm in debt $4, I'm going more in debt, $3 more in debt, negative 3, then I'm $7 in debt, right? Negative 4 plus 3. So this time we're at negative 4 and we're going up 1, 2, 3. Where do I end up at? Negative 1, right? So negative 4 plus 3. If I'm in debt $4, I pay off $3, I'm still in debt $1, right? 4 plus a negative 3. Again, I don't like two signs, so I'm going to go a positive times a negative is a negative. So 4 minus 3 is just 1. If I'm at 4 and I subtract 3, I'm at 1. Let me pause it here and have you guys try each of these. Oops. Make sure you check yourself on those. And let's move on. Let's model some subtraction of integers now. So 6 minus 2. Again, if we're at 6 and we subtract 2, 1, 2, then we end up at 4, right? If we have $6, I take away $2, I'm now left with $4. If I'm at negative 6 and I go left 2, down 2, I'm now at negative 8. I'm in the whole $6, I go more in debt. Now I'm at negative 8. Again, I don't like double signs here, so a negative times a negative is a positive. So negative 6 plus 2, I'm at negative 6. I'm at negative 6 and I go plus 2. Now I'm at negative 4. I'm $6 in the hole and I pay off $2. Now I'm only $4 in the hole. All right. Let me just give you a minute to try these real quick. I'm not going to do it on the Jamboard. I'm just going to do it real fast right here. Go ahead, check yourself on those. Make sure you're okay. Let's move on here. Now some rules for adding and subtracting, right? When two numbers are added or subtracted, one with a positive, one with a negative, then you're going to subtract, right? Like this one's a positive 5, that's a minus 6, 5 minus 6, you get a negative 1, right? You're going to find their difference, and you have more negatives there. 7 plus negative 5, that's 7 minus 5. Again, two different signs, subtract, right? Same signs, you're going to sum them up, right? Like negative 5 minus 4 is negative 9. Same signs, sum them up. All right, now let's go 6. Of course, you get the dot between them. That means multiply. So 6 times 4 gives us 24. Negative 6 times 4, a negative times a positive is a negative. And by the way, as far as multiplication, division, a positive times a positive is a positive, right? I like to remember that as a good thing. Good thing that happens to a good person is a good thing. A positive times a negative is a negative. So a good thing that happens to a bad person is a bad thing. You could also do a negative times a positive is a negative. So a bad thing that happens to a good person is a bad thing. And finally, a negative times a negative is a positive. A bad thing that happens to a bad person is a good thing. So that's how I like to remember that, at least. So 6 times negative 4, positive times a negative is a negative, right? Good thing that happens to a bad person is a bad thing. Negative times a negative, positive. Right? Bad thing that happens to a bad person is a good thing. So that's that rule right there, multiplication of signed numbers. Let's go ahead and have you guys multiply these. You guys can go ahead and feel free to put that in the chat as well. That'd be awesome. Awesome. Good job, James. Looks like we got that one. We got 6, negative times a negative, negative times a negative, positive, and a positive times a positive, positive. Awesome. Thanks for doing those, you guys. Now let's go ahead and divide. So a negative divided by a positive is a negative. A negative divided by a negative is a positive. A positive divided by a negative is a negative. And a positive divided by a positive is a positive. All right, let's get into absolute value. The absolute value, one of the definitions of the absolute value, there's an algebraic definition, and then there's a numeric definition here, which is your distance from zero. We're going to talk about that today. Later we'll get into the algebraic definition of the absolute value. So the absolute value of 7 is just how many, what's the distance from 0? We're like, well, that's 7. What's the absolute value of negative 19? So you got negative 19 down here. What's its distance from 0? 19 units. What's 0's distance from 0? 0. Go ahead and try that. Absolute value 64. What's its distance from 0? What's the distance of negative 8 to 0? And it is, positive 8. And let's finally evaluate some expressions now. So when we're evaluating, we're going to go ahead and replace the variable with a given number. So if x is negative 23, and we're taking the absolute value of x, so we're taking the absolute value of what is x? Negative 23. And we say, well, what's the absolute value of negative 23? What's its distance from 0? Let's do the next one, negative y. So we have a negative, then we have y. Notice our y is negative 2. So let's go ahead and simplify that. A negative, negative 2, that's a positive 2. What's the distance from 0? 2. This one we have negative absolute value of u. So what we do is we take the absolute value first. So let's take the absolute value of 13. The absolute value of 13 is just 13. So I took its absolute value. Now we apply the negative out front. So the negative out front changes the sign, right? So we take the absolute value of 13, which is just 13, then we apply the negative, right? Let's do this next one here. Negative absolute value of p. P is negative 9. So we're going to go ahead, we leave the negative out front. We take the absolute value of negative 9. What's the absolute value of negative 9? It's just 9. Then we apply that negative out front. So negative 9. Now let me have you guys try this one. We got negative y, which is negative times a negative is a positive. All right, now let's talk about exponents, right? 3 to the 4th means you have 4 3's being multiplied, right? In other words, 3 times 3 times 3 times 3, we got 81, right? That's what that means. So if we're going to write the following just in exponential notation, right? I say, well, how many 4's do I have here? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So we'd write it 4 to the 5th, right? How would we write the next one? Someone go ahead and turn their microphone on. What would the next be written as in exponential notation?
5 to the 6th.
Awesome. Thank you, Megan. 5 to the 6th. She is right. Name the base and the exponent. Well, what's the base here?
2.
Excellent. Thank you. Very neat. So there's our base. And of course, there's our exponent. It's 5. Base here would be, so just a little vocabulary, right? Our exponent there would be 3. Now let's evaluate, let's see the difference between these two. -5 is being squared. So -5 squared means there's 2 -5s. Well, -5 times -5 is +25. Whereas -5 squared, this is different. I wish they put the parentheses around 5 squared, but they don't. What this means is you have a negative, then you have the 5 times the 5. So it's -25, right? So again, they don't put those parentheses right there, but that's what it means. It says do 5 squared first, then apply the negative out front. Okay. So this one would be -7 squared would be what? Anybody?
49.
Yeah. Good. And then this one would be what?
-49.
Nice. Yep. Awesome. All right, finally, let's talk about our order of operations. So, do you guys remember, please excuse my dear Aunt Sally? So you do parentheses first, then you do exponents, then you do multiplication, division left to right, then you do addition, subtraction left to right, right? So here we've got parentheses, so we got 4 times, let's do the parentheses first. 5 minus 7 is -2. And then we got 4. Now we're going to do multiplication, division first. So we got multiplication. 4 times -2 is -8. Then I do the addition, subtraction. -8 minus 3, -11. So on this one, the first thing we're going to do is what? Anybody? So multiplying -2 times -7 gives us a +14. Now we do the addition, subtraction. So -18 minus 14, -4. All right, now here we got, notice we got parentheses. So we'll go ahead and do the parentheses first, then we'll do the exponents. So I'm going to go 7 minus 8, I got -1, minus 2 minus 5, I got -3. Now now that I've done the parentheses, I'm going to do the exponents. So I got -8 squared. 8 squared is 64, right? So it's negative, then the 64. Remember, that's what it means. So -64 times -1 minus a -3. So -64 times -1 is a 64 minus a -3. Negative times a negative is a positive. And then we've got 64 plus 3. So we got 67 on that one. Let's go ahead and work some more complicated ones here. I'm going to go inside my parentheses, and inside my parentheses, I'm going to go ahead and do my order of operations. And so it looks like I'm going to go to my exponents first. So 3 minus, I got 7 squares, so 3 minus 49 plus -8 squares, -8 times -8, so 64. So I'm still cleaning this parenthesis up. And I'm going to go addition, subtraction inside my parentheses left to right. So I've got 3 minus 49, I got -46 plus 64. So -46 plus 64 gives me 18. So I got 8 minus 18 at the end. 8 minus 18 gives me -10. Okay. Any questions on that, you guys? Alright, if not, let's keep moving here. So I got 6 times, looks like I've got this parenthesis, negative 2 to the third. So negative 2 to the third. So negative 2 to the third, that's negative 2 times negative 2 times negative 2. Negative 2 times negative 2 times negative 2 gives us negative 8. 6 times negative 8 gives us negative 48 minus negative, and then I do the 5 squared. Remember, I'm doing the 5 squared first. That's 25. Then I apply the negative out front. So I got negative 48 plus 25. So it looks like I got, what, negative 23 on that. And that's our order of operations. I didn't realize that was the end of my slides. Well, thank you.